This time, Sonya jumps ship and joins as crew on a sailboat delivery from San Francisco to Blaine, Washington. We experience an exciting mix of extreme winds and waves, pea soup fog, and even some calm seas along the way. Jack stayed behind to take care of our business, boat, and most importantly, Fathom the boat cat. He helped us off the dock and even got some drone shots of us heading out the Alameda estuary. It was a great start to a passage that would be over 900 nautical miles to Lorraine Marie's new home in Blaine, Washington. Hey Joe, how do you feel about leaving the bay?
I feel good. Very excited for the voyage ahead. A little bit of mixed emotions. I've lived here over 20 years, so...
Big change.
Big change. I'm going to miss all my family and friends, but looking forward to what's ahead.
Okay, first stop of the trip. We made it across the bay from Alameda to Horseshoe Bay. We are anchoring here for the night, and then we will be heading out the gate early in the morning. Good morning, crew. We are up and at 'em. It's about almost 7 o'clock. We had some coffee and we are ready to head out the gate. Joe and Chase are picking up the anchor and we are going to head on our way, start this delivery up the coast. We left the Golden Gate in our wake and made our way through the bouncy and infamous potato patch, pointing our bow north. The first night at sea was calm, and the full moon provided us with great visibility as we trekked our way up the coast. Okay, we are just south of Cape Mendocino, which will be one of the more hairy areas to cross. It looks like there's more weather offshore. So we're only about 5 miles off the coast. It is super foggy, so we actually can't even see land, even though it's just over yonder. Enjoying this little bit of calm weather. Hopefully it stays like this. We are just about rounding Cape Mendocino, and you can tell because it got really bouncy and the wind picked up a little bit. We saw about 10 knots. Interesting low bearing clouds out there too. Probably windy clouds. And you can see some like white caps too. Day 2. Cape Mendocino is no joke. The toughest conditions we've all sailed in. Sustained winds in the 30s with gusts in the 40s, and 8 to 10 wind waves. At times, it seemed that we were part submarine. The conditions persisted for about 3 hours, finally simmering down to winds in the high 20s and flatter seas. The canvas that Joe had made in the bay is not really blue water worthy. We spent a lot of money on it and it's just leaking all over. Like, we get like torrential downpours like in the most inconvenient spots, like right onto our laps when we're trying to be protected behind it, so it's kind of pointless to have a Dodger that leaks. These zippers are leaking like a sieve. You can't make a blue water boat cover with gaps like this. Not to mention the zippers aren't protected enough. Woo!
Wow.
That was a good one.
Right.
Oh yeah.
For all the sailors who don't feel like they have enough reasons to drink.
You can drink straight from the hole in your canvas.
I was thinking of having a beer and maybe a cigar. It was going to be nice and relaxing.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. It's okay, it's going to taste that much better later.
Yes.
seems like it's dying down a tiny bit. It's more in the lower 30s or like high 20s. But we are riding it out. We've got just a little bit of mainsail out and no jib. And Lorraine Marie is doing great. She is rocking it like she should. Hopefully we're gonna stop in Crescent City, which is our next available stop. So we'll stay there at least until the weather passes through, and then we can continue up the coast. All right, the sun has come up. I've been eyeing this bright white light off our starboard bow, and they have chosen to pass super close to us. I just had to alter our course by like 30 degrees because they were pointed straight for us. So good thing we've got someone on watch to keep an eye out for things like that. We are approaching Crescent City. It is super, super foggy out. It's been a good passage so far. A little bit of everything. We've had quite a bit of calm weather, but we also had a super exciting pass through Cape Mendocino. We later read that Cape Mendocino is actually the most western tip of California, but it's also the most dangerous crossing or pass to make south of Alaska. We're excited to come into Crescent City, fuel up, take some showers, eat some food, maybe at a restaurant, and then we'll see what the weather's doing and see when we want to head back out and make the next leg of the trip. We've been following the range markers coming in, but that is the main thing we don't want to hit right there. The Crescent City fuel dock is a tricky one to park at, as its cleats are high up and we arrived at quite a low tide. Once docked, we called the service number and waited for the fuel attendant to arrive, enjoying the quiet of this sleepy fishing town. Okay, here we go. Motor's shutting off after 2.5 days. Much better.
So I'm guessing 65. She's guessing 72.
Just because we might have used more, like...
And that'll include
69.5.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see.
69.5. That's
go in the
very
middle. I gotta go in the
specific.
middle.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
I do hate being the optimist.
He
What's the
is
wager?
way better at math, so we'll see.
We spent the next 48 hours troubleshooting the radar which had stopped working and visiting with one of Joe's oldest friends who lives in the area. We did our best with the radar, but found that the part we needed we didn't have, so we would have to continue on without it. With a rested crew and a better weather forecast ahead, we set off once again.
Adios, Crescent City. Midnight departure. Here we go. Day 4 of our adventure. We kind of left Crescent City and we are now just past Brookings, Oregon. So, woo, we made it to Oregon. We are just south of Point Orford. It's breezy, way breezier than the forecast showed. Had steady 30 knots. That's a chilly breeze. See the rocks. That's the reef that we were trying to avoid coming around the point. And now that we have rounded it, of course, we have no more whitecaps. The wind has died down to like 15 to 18 knots, and the seas are nice and flat again. We changed our plans a little bit. We were hoping to go up to Tillamook Bay, which is pretty much the last stop before crossing the Columbia River entrance. We would have been entering at like 2 a.m. and we didn't want to be transiting that kind of sketchy entrance in the middle of the night, and also we wouldn't have been able to get fuel at that time, which was the main reason we wanted to go in. So we are changing our plans on the fly, which is fine. We're gonna stop in Newport, and that'll give us enough fuel to get at least to the entrance of the strait
We'll see if we need to stop again in like Nia Bay or somewhere like that, or if we'll make it all the way to Port Townsend. And then from Port Townsend, we will head to Blaine, Washington. We finally have some calm seas and nicer weather. The sun is even trying to peek out through the clouds. So that's really nice. Feels great to be sitting up on deck. It really feels like the ocean is a lot more alive up here. We've seen a couple whale tails and spouts, a couple of sea lions and some seabirds. I think I saw a sunfish or a mola mola. Before I even had breakfast, I decided to put the hand-reel fishing lines out, and not even within 15 minutes of putting them out, we caught a salmon, a king salmon. So that was super awesome. We were stoked. Great for crew morale to have fresh fish on board. It's been a really awesome, really positive trip so far. Joe is a great captain. He's super cautious and wants to bounce ideas back and forth, and we've just been collaborating really well, and it feels really nice to have a good crew. And now we get to enjoy a little bit of the perks of boat life, of flat, calm seas and the beautiful weather and, you know, wildlife watching and all the fun stuff. Oh, I just saw something else jump in the water there. It just feels like the water is so much more like alive and like vibrant. We are approaching Newport. We are making a quick pit stop for some fuel. It's such nice weather right now that we really don't want to waste any time. We want to keep making progress going north. Coming into Newport. Look out, Pelican! Newport was a picturesque coastal town with a bustling harbor. Unfortunately, we didn't explore much as we had a good weather window to continue the trek north. We are on the move again, heading offshore. We're hoping to be about 40 or 50 miles offshore to go past the Columbia River entrance, hoping that'll keep any confused waters from messing up our passage. But as you can see right now, it is super, super glassy and flat out there. We've got 5 or less knots of breeze, which is great, and we are just gonna chug right along the coast. Joe is down below. He's gonna make us some salmon and broccoli and some quinoa. All right, dinner for the night. Look at that. Wow, awesome. Hell yeah. What the heck? It's raining. We did not expect this at all. Here's an interesting situation I haven't dealt with before. We have a couple of boats on AIS, one of which here you can see looks like it's pointed straight at us. I'm guessing it's a fishing boat. It's only going like 0.8 of a knot, but it keeps changing course. Like, it doesn't seem like he can make up his mind, or he's just trying to chill and wait for us to pass. I really don't know, because he has absolutely no light on. We are just slightly north of Tillamook Bay. That's where we were going to stop. And there's the Columbia River. So that's why we're going out offshore, to avoid being too close to the river. There's a lot of water moves through there, and it can be really gnarly. At this point, the crew was set in the rhythm of our watch schedule, and the days easily blended together, only distinguished by passing clouds and a lonely orca whale crossing our path. We are just a couple miles away from our last blue water route point before we start turning back towards land and heading towards the strait. We've had really calm weather, pretty flat seas most of the time. This morning it's been a little rolly. We've got some westerly ocean swell coming through. All right, Joe is on watch. Chase is resting. And I'm cooking dinner. Nice big tenderloin with some potatoes and some Brussels sprouts. It's gonna be delicious. And a beautiful view. Just as we made the turn towards Cape Flattery, the winds shifted around to our stern, which urged us to pull out the spinnaker and get some relief from the constant rumble of the engine. It took some teamwork and lots of line wrangling, but we got it flying.
Super stoked. First time under sail in 7 days. Flying the big orange spinnaker. We're doing 7 knots and in a semi-desired direction.
Almost the way we wanted to go.
Trolling for tuna.
Woo! Well, that was short-lived. We finally got the spinnaker up and flying, and then we had a crazy wind shift, about 20 or 30 degrees, and then it just kept shifting more and more towards our bow, and then it's now 20 degrees off our bow again. So we only got to fly the spinnaker for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and then we had to douse it again. With the spinnaker back in the bag, we continued on under power and began to reflect on the 700+ nautical miles we had made this far. How do you feel right now?
I feel great. Cape Flattery was a long way away when we started.
Yeah.
700 miles to here. Trip went very well so far. Entering what they call the flat water portion of the trip now, which will be a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
I mean, we had our challenges, our battles around Cape Mendocino and Cape Blanco. Pretty much everything you can imagine, from sunshine and blue skies to 40-knot winds and 10-foot wind waves. We ate well, made good decisions. The crew was outstanding. The boat performed super well. We all probably gained some confidence in our abilities, and we'll be better prepared to continue to make good decisions in the future. So, yeah, it's wonderful.
Join us next time as the crew completes the second leg of the journey north. We have some nail-biting moments dodging container ships at night.
Good morning, this is a pilot on board the container ship.
Make a pit stop in Port Townsend, and Sonya shares the details of the upcoming cruising plans for the To the Horizon crew. This has been a great trial run for our trip that we're planning in April on Gemini. It just feels like it's so close I can taste it. Until next time.